But if I can't surrender. We pick up again with Jeremiah this week, a young man who is called by God with the unhappy task of telling the people of Jerusalem and Judah that they will be conquered by the warring Babylonians, which will result in torture, persecution, exile, and even death for some. The story of Jeremiah, unfortunately, does not ever really get to be any fun at all. Chapter after chapter, God tells Jeremiah to share these words and images of destruction, captivity, and exile with the Jewish people. Suffice it to say, Jeremiah was not a popular figure. But God never gave up on Jeremiah. And in a peculiar way, God never quite gave up on the Jewish people either. In the 18th chapter of this book, after complaints and droughts and deaths and condemnation, God leads Jeremiah to a potter of all people to deliver an important message. We pick up again in verse 4 of chapter 18. The vessel he was making of clay was spoiled in the potter's hand, and he reworked it into another vessel, as seemed good to him. Then the word of the Lord came to me. Can I not do with you, O house of Israel, just as this potter has done, says the Lord? God has this ability, despite all the brokenness and darkness in our lives, to share with us a message of restoration, of hope, of transformation in our days ahead. What does that look like for you? What does transformation look like for Valley Community? Now, we are a peculiar community in our own way at this Presbyterian church called Valley Community. Here we are in the year 2018, in a world with targeted marketing to specific age groups and generations. We are an intergenerational group of people of all different ages and backgrounds who gather together to worship each Sunday, when most people these days don't even think about Sunday morning worship, let alone bringing their entire family to a shared common experience. We sing out of hymnals with organ music, when many churches today have projectors displaying lyrics and videos to songs and entire rock bands leading in the singing. We sit in pews instead of cushioned stadium seating. The worship leaders here wear robes. We even get excited when we get crazy every now and again and dress in our tartan garments and listen to bagpipe music. In a world that has seemed to leave us as Valley Community behind in the names of progress and innovation, the word transformation does not seem to be on the tip of our tongues here. But God does work in peculiar ways. I do see transformation here at Valley each and every day. Except as we witness in Jeremiah's story today, transformation is not always so apparent. I see transformation of the hearts and minds of those who attend Bible study and education classes here throughout the week and on Sundays. I see lives of young parents being transformed by the outpouring of love of Valley's older members as we dote on their children and on the parents alike. I see empty stomachs being filled by our hunger feeding programs. And I see the hearts of those church members who are serving being transformed by the guests they have the privilege to meet. I see toddlers and young parents being transformed by a wonderful preschool. I see young teens experiencing the love of Jesus and the love of adult mentors in our youth ministries and choirs. I see children, youth, and adults of all ages lifting up praises to God in song, and in so doing, lifting the hearts of all who hear and perhaps their own. I see transformation in each and every one of our lives here at Valley, in this very community that we espouse in our namesake. We are a church where all are welcome, regardless of your age or your race, your orientation, ethnicity, political affiliation, theological views, or abilities. We are a church where God moves in life-transforming ways. Now, we may not look, act, or sound like that hip, young, trendy coffee shop or church down the road, but it is abundantly clear to me that transformation does happen here. There is a reason that this congregation has been around for 75 years, and God willing, for 75 years more and beyond. God is here. And while I love what God has done to transform us up to this point here as Valley Community, I am most excited for what will happen next. Just as the potter is able to reshape and rework this vessel into something new that is pleasing to him, God is able to continually reshape us to serve the world around us in Christ's name. Do we trust what God is doing in the days ahead? Who knows? Maybe one day our church will look different. Maybe our worship style and form will change. Maybe the people we see coming into the doors on Sundays will look different than they do now. Perhaps our programs will change, our conversations, even our physical building structure may be different one day. But the good news today, the truly good news, is that God is in all of this. Despite the terror, destruction, and chaos that Jeremiah was experiencing with the captivity of Jerusalem, he knew that God was still moving within all of it to create something new. Despite the hardship, persecution, and ultimate death that Jesus faced on the cross, he knew that God was still transforming. God's kingdom being realized. And friends, God is transforming us even now. How exciting it is to be part of something so much bigger than our own lives, as we have the opportunity to point to God moving and transforming in the larger world today. Now, I've been here as your pastor for a little over a year now, and let me tell you, I do see God moving in exciting ways. While we are called to honor our past, our ancestors, and our heritage, and we celebrate our present, what God is doing with us these days, I see God calling us to new and wonderful things ahead as Valley Community in the days coming forward. We have been taken down to the potter's wheel. We are watching him reshape this mound of clay into something new. What do you see?